Hi there, this is Andre from Munditos, and we're here again to talk about another tutorial on architectural illustration in Procreate. In this opportunity, we're going to be doing a sketch on top of a photo that it creates a final illustration that has the style of a collage without being one. I also want to share the two tiles that inspire the colors of this illustration. One is this very deep blue 4x4 tile. It has some glossy finish, as you can see with the reflection. And then the second one is this tiny one. I think it's probably a 2x2 or yeah, a 2x2 orange one that is handmade. I really like these two colors together, and I always wanted to draw something with this in mind. So this is where the sketch starts. The next step will be to adjust the drawing assist. Here on Actions, Edit Drawing Guide, and we activate the perspective. The dot here 1 and then number 2 over here for a 2-point perspective drawing, as well as setting up the horizon line. We have a person here that we can use as a reference for when to set that horizon line, and then we can move it to adjust it. It's not perfect, but just as a base guide, it works a lot. We can adjust the opacity of those lines and the thickness, and once we're ready, we accept the action. We're gonna do a new layer, then we're gonna turn the drawing assist on, and we can start drawing our line work. I usually pick black for my line work, and I tweak this original brush from Procreate into one that has a bit more stabilization features. We can turn the base image, the opacity a little bit, so we can see what we're drawing and what not. To start, I know my building wants to follow the second floor of both buildings, so this is the second floor here, and I'm gonna start just a little bit above. I'm gonna draw a line there, and same for the other side. Then we continue with the line for the floor, and we do the same on the other side here, and same for the floor. And we have the corner here that in this case I want to do a curve, so for that I'm gonna do it in another layer, and I'm gonna do the curve that I can edit. In this case we're just gonna use the tangents of the curve. We're gonna divide the second floor. We will have some windows. And we know we're gonna have a store window here that is gonna make for the window of the cafe. And the opening will have an awning. And with having the rough line work, I'm gonna add another layer that I'm gonna make drawing assist as well, and I'm gonna start cleaning, adding the depth. Photo is as it is. You can't touch anything, but what you can do is start adding your details and what you want to incorporate in your design in the sketch itself. Okay, so this is the base drawing cleaned up. We are gonna need to just tweak a bit of the background photo. First, deleting some of these advertising that we don't want to see. We want to see a clean painted wall. Same for the brick. We're going to clean it up a bit. The tool we're going to use is in adjustments, we're going to use clone. Here we go. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And then we start cloning. We may need to move the clone stamp a bit. And then for this here on the paint, I'm not gonna clone because I don't have a lot of surface to pick from to clone. We're gonna pick the color of the wall, and we're gonna use this Biden Coat brush that is on the Street Art collection. And then we're gonna start painting on top with just a few taps. I like to add a new layer underneath the line work that is gonna act as a white mask, so I can see exactly what I need to paint and whatnot. So for that, I'm gonna pick a white color, but first on the line work layer, I'm gonna grab the selection tool, automatic, and click outside the drawing. I'm gonna invert the selection, go back into the new layer where the mask is gonna be, and drop white inside. we take out the selection, and that's it. We have the mask ready. Now we have the fun part, which is starting to put color to everything we have here. I'm gonna turn the Linework layer into a reference. I'm gonna create a new layer underneath, and we're gonna stay on this layer, and we're gonna start painting the main color, which is the blue of the building. And we're gonna drop, and we're gonna continue filling everything that is this color. The next color is the light blue, and for that we do it in another layer, and we start filling this again, same action. We repeat with the orange. We also have the windows that we're gonna pick a gray. And we also have the green for the vegetation that we're gonna pick a green. So with how far along we are, you can see that the sketch wants to be simple with the colors and the silhouettes that we're drawing, but at the same time to have details here and there. We don't want to overdo it, but at the same time we don't want it to be super simple. It needs to have like a touch that makes it special. So once we have all the colors ready, we're going to start adding texture. In this case, I'm choosing only to put texture on the building and on the trees in the rooftop. So I'm going to make a new layer on top of the building, and then a new layer on top of the trees. I'm gonna select the area of the color, select it with automatic, and we move to the texture layer. I'm gonna use one of my custom texture brushes, and I'm gonna use the dot. There's no pattern on how to put the texture. In my case, I just wanna add it in the areas where the shades are gonna be later. We're gonna move into the trees, we're gonna select the trees, and we're gonna move into the texture layer with the same brush. We're gonna add the texture. It's really important to add the shadow and the texture, even though they are very simple and minimal, but this makes it break from a 2D drawing into something with a little more depth. The next step is adding the shadows. We're gonna make a new layer that is gonna go on top of everything, and we're gonna take the opacity to a 25% to start with. We're gonna have the black, and with the brush that we did the line work with, I'm gonna increase the size. I'm gonna paint everything on this side. Almost ready. And then I want to diffuse this line here so it's not as marked up. And I'm going to use the water blender from my custom brushes. And I'm going to try to blend and take some of that line apart to make it more soft. To add the texture, so these trees don't look as flat, I'm going to make a new layer and make it a clipping mask on top of the base one. I'm gonna pick green, yellow, and from my watercolor brushes, I'm gonna use the Bloody Wash, and I'm just gonna add some of these, and then I'm gonna pick a darker green, and I'm gonna add a darker spot. This is why I like to use this technique a lot. The photo brings the client to the space they are, what they know. In this case, they know the neighborhood, they know the street, they know their surroundings. So it's critical for them to accept the project or the design you're proposing to them. Now, the second to last step is to add the people. So we have some scale in our drawings. I have a collection of silhouettes that I use a lot. They come in handy and it's fast to use. We're gonna scale it as if this person is waiting for the bus right here, and tap. Then we're gonna add two people at the bar right here. Let's do there, right there. And then for this one, since we wanna hide the legs, we're gonna create a mask, and with black, we're gonna change to the Linework brush. We're gonna erase or hide what we don't want to see The last step will be to add the texture of the paper on top of our drawing, so it will help to blend all the different colors and make the sketch part of the photo in a way. For that, I bring a paper texture on top of my drawing. I'm going to change from normal to multiply, and this blending option adds on top of all the solid colors that we have. So that's it for this tutorial, sketching over a photo. I hope you use the technique and you like it. If you do anything, please share it with me. I would love to see it. If you enjoy the video, please like, also subscribe so you're in the loop for next tutorial. Share it with friends so they can all learn this technique too. If you're interested in getting the brushes that we use in this video, I'm gonna link them in the description so you can take a look at those. And I think that's it. That covers everything. I'll see you next week on the next video. Thank you.